feel you have to do more?
No, I mean, I think you gotta go with the game. You gotta play within your abilities. When you start to try to do too much, that's when things can kind of get away from you. And so I think for all of us, you just gotta keep playing the game, and then if you're somebody who's getting more opportunity, then you can take advantage of it and make a good showing for yourself. Try to become an NHL player. You have young guys coming up from the American League, guys who don't have that many games. Halsey just got his first goal, so guys are going to have more of an opportunity to make a name for themselves. So it's exciting for them.
So the good news is some of the guys that were big contributors to that comeback the other day hadn't been scoring. And Bouchard gets his first two, so he's maybe going to get goals. Holloway gets one, and McLeod's not playing, but it's probably a good time to have some guys who haven't been producing start to feel like maybe they're getting productive. Is that fair?
For sure. Yeah, it's a long year, so I think when you don't get off to the offensive start that you want, you can kind of start gripping your stick. But it's great to see those guys get on the board and contribute in a huge team win. So it was awesome to see, and those guys are going to be, they're important parts of our team, so they're going to need them to step up.
Personally, for you, you've had a bunch of chances, but it's you're that guy that says, well, at least I'm getting chances. Is that
yeah, you know what? It's ebbs and flows of the season, right? I think sometimes the puck goes in, sometimes the puck doesn't go in. You look at your shooting percentage at the end of the year, probably around the same that you shoot, for most of the year. When you play in the league long enough, you can't get frustrated. You just got to keep going out there and get the chances and start to bear down on it. But goalies are good in the league too.
When McDavid and Draisaitl play together on a line, obviously it's kind of loading up a line. Do you think the onus is on everybody else on the other lines to kind of I don't know if pick it up is the right word, but just understand that you got to match up against some tough lines, and that's where that depth comes from. Is when that happens.
Yeah, I think those guys played on a line together for most of the playoffs, so and a bunch last year. So I think the team's comfortable with those guys being on the same line, and I think it provides a different element, a different look for the other team when you have two of the best players in the world playing together. It's tough to match up against, and then for the rest of the lineup, you got to go out there and contribute and do your part, and not kind of just sit back and say, hey, Leon and Connor are going to take care of it, right? So I think it's important. Especially when those guys are playing together, that you have a full team effort.
All right. So the other night, you started with Nugent Hopkins, but then they went to the whip in the third period, and they put you with Connor and Leon. It sounds like a dumb question, and I've asked a lot of them over the years. But does your game change at all? Do you defer more when you're playing with those two guys, or are you aware of what they do as opposed to maybe when you're out with RNH on his line?
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I think with those two guys, obviously, they want the puck all the time. So the more you can kind of get them the puck, I've played that role a bunch in my career and kind of get to the net for them and create havoc and whatnot. And that's it's fun when you play with those guys. And with Nuge, I think we have really good chemistry, so we're able to kind of play off each other and find each other. And then you have the puck a little bit more, obviously. So it's fun either way.
You just had this big moment as a group, this great comeback, much needed points, much needed mojo, I guess. Then you lose some guys. Mm-hmm. How important is it to figure out a way to build off of what just happened, despite what's happened to your lineup?
Yeah, it's important. I think it's unfortunate timing because those guys had the guys who were hurt, Fogues, Clotter, they had a big impact on that game. Obviously, probably were feeling good. And then they go out and they get hurt. So it happens all across the league. You have players who are important parts of your team that are out, and usually when injuries start to pile up, they happen in succession. And we have four guys up front who are out right now. So I think it's important, and it's a good test for our team. We talked about a team depth and everything to go out there and to build off of last game.